everybody, the Super Vader 400 here, back for another review, and this is my long, in-depth review of the 2014 Marvel Cinematic Universe film, Guardians of the Galaxy. This is the case. The CD is still inside the Xbox 360. I just got done finished watching this film for I don't know how many times. I don't know. I can't keep up how many times I've seen this awesome movie, man. But yeah, I'm reviewing this as a setup to the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 film, which I'll review later on tonight. It's 5:56 a.m. right now, about to be 6 o'clock in the morning. Later on tonight, because my webcam works best at night. That's why you never see much videos, and why it takes a while to get videos. Takes a while for the videos to get done, because my webcam works best at night. And with that being said, here's my review of the 2014 Guardians of the Galaxy film. Like I've said in my MCU reviews, I first heard of the Guardians of the Galaxy when I watched an episode of AMC Theater led by John Campea in 2013. After the success of the Avengers, they said they were going to make another team-up superhero movie called The Guardians of the Galaxy. Then I did research on what the Guardians of the Galaxy was, and I loved what I read, reading about the original team in 1969, then reading about the current team, which I heard the film was going to be based on, the 2008 team, and reading about each character. Then I decided to watch episodes of the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon and episodes of both of the Avengers cartoons, Avengers Assembled, and of course the prequel, Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes, because the Guardians of the Galaxy guest starred in those episodes to give myself a sample for what I will be seeing in the movies, and I loved what I saw there and couldn't wait to see that on the big screen. I loved every single trailer. Prior to learning about the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise, I was a huge fan of similar franchises such as Masters of the Universe, Star Wars, and of course Avengers, and of course X-Men, which the Guardians of the Galaxy reminded me of. The Guardians of the Galaxy reminded me of, and I loved the trailer, and I couldn't wait to see the film. Finally saw the film. The film exceeded my expectations. And see, I also saw this film in 3D. Guardians of the Galaxy and Green Lantern were the two best experiences I've ever had at a theater, man. Ever at a theater, because I saw them in 3D, which means it was like being there in the theater as both of these movies happened, man. It was like being there. Theater. These were the best. These were the best theater experiences I've ever had, man. And I was blown away, man. But the first time I saw it, I was blown away. The story, the action, the story, the action, the characters, the special effects, man, everything, man, everything. After buying it and owning it on DVD, and watching it several times, and familiarizing myself with the Guardians of the Galaxy source material by reading the first 3 issues of the current series, the Marvel Now Guardians of the Galaxy series, where Iron Man, Tony Stark, is a Guardian, and of course, doing heavy research on the original Guardians of the Galaxy comic books, I can see the heavy flaws in this film. And the very first problem I have with this film, like I keep saying, is the main storyline. Every character you see in this film's individual storyline was good, but the main storyline is the first problem I have. The main storyline is Thanos has enlisted the services of has made a deal with Ronan the Accuser, that he will destroy Xandar for Ronan if Ronan retrieves a special orb containing an Infinity Stone. And here's the first problem I have with it. When the film opens up, it shows the title, it shows the guy in the front right here, Peter Quill, arriving on some special planet, stealing the orb. If the orb was there all that time, why didn't Thanos just go there and take it himself? Why didn't Thanos just go there and take it himself? Why does he have to make a deal with a lesser powerful being? What's his name? Why doesn't he just go get the orb and then destroy Xandar himself? Now, like I said, we know why he did this behind the scenes, but why did he do this in the film? Behind the scenes, the Guardians of the Galaxy aren't powerful enough to face Thanos. Yeah, and Thanos is just there as a cameo, as there is a cameo to set up future movies. But um what's his name? But see, the biggest problem is that as awesome as Guardians of the Galaxy as a film is, one of the reasons I give it leeway is because, well, besides the film being awesome, one of the reasons I give it leeway is because Guardians of the Galaxy shouldn't be a movie. That should actually be a television series. That should actually be a television series. The cartoon, which is an alternate sequel to this, is much better. Even though I prefer to watch the movies because the voice acting in the cartoon is terrible. I wish they would have got the cast here to reprise their roles in animation form, but that would probably cost more money. So Disney hired their own their own in-house actors to voice the role. But I wish they would have got these guys. I wish they would have got these guys to do it because the voice acting is terrible. But the whole story is much better in the television series than it is in the film. Guardians of the Galaxy should be a television series, either animated or live action, doesn't matter. But that should be a television series. That shouldn't be a movie because not only do you have this Guardians of the Galaxy team, but you have the original team from 1969. Then each character here, before they became together in 2008 as the Guardians of the Galaxy, each of these characters right here had their own series of adventures going back to the 70s. I think he goes all the way back to I think he goes back to the 60s, the late 60s. Drax goes back to the late 60s. But each of these characters since the 60s and 70s has had their own adventures before they came together in 2008 as the Guardians of the Galaxy. Peter Quill, he had two origins. He had another origin, then that was reckoned to him being the son of Jason of Spartex, something like that. Spartex like that. But he had two origins before he came together with what you call it. Gamora and Gamora and Nebula had an extensive, more complex story in the comic books than they did here. And Drax, he had multiple adventures, and he was at one time a different character. Before he became the character you see here, he was like the character I compare him best to is Piccolo from Dragon Ball Z. He was a green man. He was a green man flying around and can shoot energy attacks out of his hands. Um, they later rewrote him. They later rewrote him to to just being a big powerful alien and having less having 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 no such power other than his superhuman strength and knives, and he acquired his strength and the way he looks because he's originally green. They made him like grayish here to distinguish him from the Hulk, but he's actually green. Drax is actually green in the comic books. And he acquired his powers from the Moon Dragon. Rocket Raccoon and Groot. Rocket Raccoon was taken together and put together. I think Groot is part of a special species, but I keep forgetting Groot's and Rocket stories. But what I'm trying to say is they all had they all had their own adventures before they came together as the Guardians of the Galaxy, and you can't fit all that into a film. Yondu, who is a Ravager and a criminal in this movie, he was part of the original Guardians, and he's like the space version of Hawkeye. Yeah, they made a lot of changes. They were forced to make a lot of changes from the what's his name. So that's the first problem I had. It was the main story. Everyone's individual story was good, but the main storyline is the worst part. Film is awesome. My favorite scenes are the opening scene where we're introduced to Quill. He comes out with his mask on, with his flashlight. Then when he gets into the place where the orb, when he gets into the area where the orb is, he he takes out his cassette. He takes out his cassette and starts dancing and stuff, starts dancing and stuff, and immediately goes into where the orb is. Immediately goes into the room where the giant orb is. Where the giant orb is, looks for the orb, and where he goes with the giant orb, and then here he is stopped by Korad, and he is stopped by Korad. He is stopped by Korad and his forces. He is stopped by Korad and his forces, and hilarity ensues as Korad does not know or understand, does not know who Quill is, and then Quill then Carter prepares to bring Quill in for questioning. Quill says no, he backs the other guys up and they disintegrate. He backs a big light up and the guys disintegrate. Then he shoots. Then Korat pulls out his gun and prepares to shoot Quill. Quill does the Matrix and slides out and runs away and throws a bomb to quickly. Shows him to the ship, and here he's met with an alien. He's like, it's Catrice, something like that. It's Catrice, something like that. He says, I'm gonna be totally honest with you, I didn't know you were here. I forgot you were here. And that whole scene was hilarious. And then we're introduced to Yondu, where Quill finds the orb but doesn't tell Yondu and the other Ravagers about it and prepares to break the deal himself. Here we're introduced where he goes to break the deal to the doctor. The doctor disagrees as soon as the doctor breaks the deal off as soon as he learns that Ronan is a part of this deal, and we actually learned in the beginning with Ronan's introduction, which was also awesome. Ronan's introduction, where Ronan is a Kree fanatic obsessed with the old ways of his people and wants revenge on Xandar for the murder of his and the death of his father and his father before that. He's outraged at the peace treaty. 1,000 years of war between them will not be forgotten. Now he is on a mission to destroy Xandar. Xandar. So yeah. Then of course we're introduced to Gamora, who we were introduced to Gamora and Nebula earlier when Ronan chose Gamora over Nebula to retrieve the orb. He initially chose Nebula, but Gamora managed to convince him that she knows Xandar, and she was actually using that. She was actually using this as a ploy to betray Ronan, and use the orb to sell the orb, then start life somewhere else, because she couldn't stand by Ronan when he said he wanted to blow up a planet. So Gamora ambushes, after meeting Quill, ambushes him and steals the orb. And then a fight ensues between Quill, Gamora, and Groot and Rocket, who we were also introduced to, were Rocket and them scanning people. One of them was Stan Lee, where they said, where's your wife? And another guy where they scanned with a weird haircut, saying they call us criminals when he's insulting us with that haircut. And Groot doing other stuff like drinking nasty fountain water. Then, like I said, the huge fight breaks out, and they're arrested for causing a permanent destruction. And this is actually where, after this, here's one thing: the film is 2 hours, 121 minutes long, but it doesn't feel like it until the end. The film actually moves fast. Pretty much the prison part, which is where the film actually supposedly picks up, is actually one of my least favorite parts of the film. It was entertaining, but this is one of my least favorite parts. This is where the film starts to drag out because they're in prison. It's all boring. There. It's all boring there. When they then of course they escape prison. And then the story really picks up when Drax calls Ronan to the area he calls Ronin to the area at, then Ronin and Drax duke it out. And while this fight scene, like I said in my MCU reviews, while the fight sequences weren't as good as the other MCU installments, this fight was still exciting to watch. Watching Ronin, the much smaller guy, um, dominate the much larger and stronger Drax. And this fight would have been much better, but see, that's another thing I like and don't like about the MCU. See, the MCU, because they want to choreograph good action, yeah, they kind of tone down the power levels of some of these characters. Drax and Ronan are extremely powerful in the comic books, but here you didn't see that much. But it was still cool watching Ronan um, manhandle and dominate Drax. Then I like at the end. Then I like the end where Ronan says, "I don't recall killing your family. I doubt I remember killing you." Then he tosses him in the what you call it. That reminds me of the '94 Street Fighter film where Chun Li explains to Bison how he killed her father, and Bison doesn't remember any of it. He utters then Raul Julia utters the memorable line, "The day I came to your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday." They had a moment just like that in Guardians of the Galaxy. Um, and that's where the film picks up. And you have Quill and Rocket taking it to the stars with Ronan's forces, and Nebula killing Gamora, and finally the orb is back in their possession. The orb is back in their possession. Let's talk before I continue with the rest of the film. Let's talk about Ronan and Korra. Ronan and Korra. They were awesome in this film. I hated how the film wasted both of them. The villains were awesome in this film. I hated how the film wasted both of them, especially Lee Pace as Ronan with that booming voice. Um, with all due respect, Thanos, your daughter caused this mess. Your daughter caused this mess. And when she wanted to betray us, the entire time, I love that booming voice, man. I assure you to take this seriously. The only one I do not take seriously, boy, is you. Is you. But I love how he yells with such authority. And then the end, his memorable speech at the end. Xandar, you stand accused. Your retreat treaty will not save you now, for it's the tinder on which you burn. Love the way he talks, and I hate how they wasted such an awesome character. I'm gonna get to that in a minute, but now let's continue. This is where the part picks up. This is where everyone comes back together after Rocket Rocket and Groot rescue Quill from Gamora from the Ravengers. This is where the Ravengers and 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 the what are the other guys? The Ravengers and the this is where the Ravengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy team up, and where the Guardians of the Galaxy team, in an emotional moment where Quill decides he finally gets to where they were all brought together by fate, and finally fate is giving them a chance to to be heroes, to do something, to for once in their lives do something. And this is where the Guardians of the Galaxy team is officially formed. They team up with the Ravengers, they alert Nova Corps, and they all take the fight to the stars, to the sky, not the stars, the sky, with Ronan, where Ronan has the Infinity Stone and wants to wipe out Xandar, and it goes to prevent him from reaching the ground. It goes to prevent him from reaching the ground, and a sky battle ensues, and the characters go inside Ronan's ship. My next favorite scene where Quill and Drax and Groot do battle with Korath, portrayed by awesome actor Damon Hajimon, and they fight in Damon Hajimon, and see Damon Hajimon and Batista. They had the best fight of the film because they're the only two who were combatants. Batista was a professional wrestler, and Damon Hajimon is a trained hand-to-hand combatant. Is a trained hand-to-hand theater combatant. So this was an awesome fight with Batista swinging at what you call it, twisting his arm like a wrestling move, then disabling Drax with a roundhouse and telling him, "You will never make it to Ronin. You will never make it to you will never make it to Ronin." Then later, after Sky Battle, Ronin Drax eventually gains the upper hand and kills Korath in an awesome fashion by ripping off his what's his name. Let's talk about Korath for a moment. Now, Korath is, like I said, is dead in the comic books. He was killed. He was introduced in '92 and killed in, I think, 2013. He was either killed in 2012 or 13 um Ultron for failure to capture one of the Guardians, Adam Warlock. But I wish they would have kept him for 2 decades. I wish they would have kept him as one of Thanos' minions in the film for like much longer, because in the comic books before he was killed off, he had lots of adventures battling not only the Guardians, but also battling the Avengers, Avengers. So I didn't like it. Like I said, I didn't like how they wasted the villains in this film. And then of course you have the epic end. Throughout the film, you were wondering how are they going to defeat Ronin and his forces. Quill, of course, they can't beat him in an actual fight. He has the stone, so how are we going to beat him? And Quill distracted him by dancing, which allowed Rocket and Drax to team together to build a gun and destroy Ronin's hammer, and Quill grabbed the Infinity Stone before Ronin and just barely managed to withstand his power. In another epic scene, they all take their hands together and manages to contain the stone and uses his power to destroy Ronin, who tries to attack them after that. And this problem I hate. I wish when they did the stone thing, I wish instead of killing him, they trapped him inside the stone so he could be released later, and you could have developed that character more. I hate how they just killed him off. This is what happened in the show. They resurrected and brought him back in the television sequel, which serves as an alternate sequel to this film. But I hated how they just killed him off despite his importance in the comics. Like I said, Ronin was historically a villain. He made his debut in the Fantastic Four comic, and he's a big character. His race, the Kree, and his position, he has a family of his own. He's a big character in the comic books, but here they just treated him like a normal villain. They just treated him like a normal villain. They completely wasted him, and that makes me worried about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They claim they have ideas up until 2032, but like I said, killing off all these awesome villains, you're gonna like run out of like good villains, man. I think that's gonna lead to the downfall of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's the only thing I am worried about with the MCU, man. With the MCU, they keep killing off their villains. That's the only thing I am worried about with the MCU, man. But yeah, man. Awesome film. And you got like a lot of good actors in this film. You got Chris Pratt as Peter Quill, Zoe Saldana as Gamora, Dave Bautista as Drax. Dave Bautista as Drax is way better than anything Dave Bautista has ever done in the ring. I was never a fan of Bautista as a wrestler. He's much better as an actor. Vin Diesel as Groot, even performing motion capture for the character. You got Bradley Cooper as the voice of Rocket. Lee Pace as the main antagonist Ronin. You got John C. Reilly has a big role in this film. Happy to see him again. He has a big role in this film, and yeah. Then this film was so damn hilarious. Peter Quill dancing in the beginning, Peter Quill dancing in the beginning, Rocket Raccoon during the prison scene. One of the scenes I did like was, I need that guy's leg. Yeah, that leg. I actually thought it was important, but he was joking. He just wanted to see the guy hopping around. Then of course, then of course, Quill going back to retrieve his tape that was stolen earlier, and then when they said this one shows compassion, this one shows spirit, he'll be needed in the battlefront. Companion, what were you retrieving? And he gives him his tape, and then Drax of all people says, "You're an imbecile," and Drax taking everything literally. The end with Quill dancing and Gamora's like, "Are you serious? Are you serious?" Then Peter trying to dance with Gamora, and Gamora says, "No, I will not have any of your pelvis sorcery." And Gamora just being naive of the what's his name, like when he made his expression about putting sticks up people's butts, and Gamora was like, "That is cruel. Who put the sticks up their butts? Who put the sticks up their butts?" And what's his name? What's his name? And then again, where when they crashed the ship, Gamora was like, "We're just like Kevin Bacon." So yeah, yeah, and then you have Groot, who was awesome in the film. He just says three lines, and it's like one of the best characters in the film. All he says is, "I am Groot." And he's like the best character. He's one of those awesome characters ever. You feel for this character, you love this character, and he only says three lines, and he's like the best character. I am Groot. And then later, my all-time favorite, "We are Groot," before he died, which was a sad moment. I'm a grown man, so none of this could ever make me cry. But man, you talk about one of those moments where a film hits you, man. What's his name? What's his name? So, yeah, yeah, awesome film, man. Awesome film. Like I said, not the masterpiece I thought it was back in 2014, but it's still exciting to watch now, and I can't wait for the sequel, which I think will be even better than this movie right here. See, like I said, that's the problem I have with Marvel's Cinematic Universe. It's good because of Kevin Feige and Josh Whedon. What I don't like is these directors not respecting the comic books, not respecting the comic book history. All right, well, I'm done. That's all I got to say about this movie. I'm done. Um, yeah, I'm done. Hit my music.